Max here again, welcome back to the shop. So this week was supposed to be what we were going to record last week, but I wasn't really happy with the footage that I took. It seemed a bit disjointed regarding the shaft wheel machining. This is our arbor for our lapping tool. So we've made our parallel section in case we want to run a pilot. We have our tapered section, which I set the compound to 10 thou per inch of taper, and a parallel section to grip on in the chuck. So our lapping tool, our lap will come up and right up and down this taper and the nut. So we have a 1 inch 22 thread per inch thread on there. Now when I shot the video doing this and I went to edit it, I found it was all a bit disjointed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify. I'm not real happy with the design on this. I'll keep this one because it would be good. I can maybe make up a set of expanding mandrels, which this would be ideal for. So what I plan to do is make the tapered section a smaller diameter. That gives me a bit more wall thickness in the lap for the expanding components, because it has to have holes drilled through. So that means we'll have to make our thread smaller and our pilot a little bit smaller. So we might go for something like a 7/8 32 TPI thread, and we'll halve this taper to an offset of 5 thou per inch, which is half of this, and we'll see what it looks like. And the other thing, when I did cut this taper, because it's double the length of my compound travel, this time I'm going to offset the tailstock and cut it that way. So we may even finish grind it with a tool post grinder. So we'll see how that goes, see how that progresses. In the interim, we had an envelope turn up in the mail from old Lance over in Queensland there, in Bundaberg, Bundy Bear's shed. Lance does some really good videos on tractor repairs. He's into all his old tractors and all that sort of thing, and it's really worthwhile checking out if you're into tractors and that. So, and Lance, don't ever show that picture of the two guys on the farm all again, mate. I just can't get that out of my head, eh? So we'll get Lance's sticker up on our board and we'll crack on with some machining. Okay, so we'll put we'll fill in this gap right here. There you have it. It's a good channel, so well worthwhile checking out. We're just making a packing washer, which we're going to use on our tool post grinder. So the grinder will mount on top of the compound. We take the tool post off, take the tool post stud out, it just screws out, and our grinder will mount directly onto the compound. But to bring the grinding wheel up to centre height, we need a 3/16 of an inch thick packer. So I've got this old bit of cast iron. It was a blanking plug of some description. So I've just turned a little bit off the outside, faced it off. So we're just going to drill a 5/8 clearance hole through for the tool post stud, and we'll put a parting tool in and we'll part her off. It's slightly hollow at the rear, so we'll part it off and then we'll flip around and face her off. So, okay, I had to go searching for a drill bit. So we've got a 5/8 clearance drill. Part her off. So we'll just go a little bit over 3/16, and then we'll face it to their correct thickness. Being cast iron, we'll just put our tool on upside down and run the lathe in reverse so that the fine bits of cast that come off hopefully drop straight down instead of trying to build up and jam up on top of the tool. So we'll have to extend our tool out now. We keep it up short while we get through the first part. Now we'll give it a bit of extra length that'll make it through to the centre of the work. So we do 35 to 40 mil. It's a fair bit sticking out for a parting tool, but we'll just go steady, steady. So there we have our disc. So we'll pop this back in and face off this side back to 3/16 of an inch. Just make sure our tool's going to clear the jaws, which it is. Just lock our carriage lock. That's 185 and a half. That's okay. 2 thou under. Just break this sharp corner. Okay, there we have it. So that's our spacer disc for the tool. Okay, before we hook into version 2 of our Arbor with the finer thread and the smaller taper angle, I was watching the draw this morning of the Bar Z over there in California for the Emma Ritson's toolmaking competition. And yeah, I got quite a shock, and I'd just like to congratulate the other winners, Tom from Tommy Gun Machining, and also Chris from Old Iron Shops. So a good one, fellas. And yeah, I got quite a shock too with the optical comparator, so that's a really handy tool for me, because the old eyes aren't quite what they used to be when I was a young bloke, so that'll come in very handy there. So, and thanks to the sponsors and over there who put it on, and thanks to the people who organise the prizes and all that. No, it's really good, much appreciated. Okay, we'll make a start on our shaft, shall we? Okay, we're going to do a recess centre. Centre drill's a bit blunt. Try the other end. Just want to take the burr off the recess. Okay, let's swing in a bit closer. You'll see exactly what happened just then, why we've done it. Okay, what we just did then, we've cut a slight recess in and then retouched up the centre. And that's done quite often on arbors and such like, where they're going to get repeated use. And all it does, it protects the end of the centre there. So if the arbor gets dropped or over time knocked around, the damage is going to occur on the corners and the end face, and your centre remains protected. So that's why that's done. So we'll get the other end done the same, and we'll start roughing the shaft out. Absolute rubbish to machine this material. Bit of scrungy old bar. Old mild steel black bar. Running the tool upside down and the lathe in reverse does, I find, help to keep some of the rubbish contained. If your feed rates are too moderate with this stuff, just turns into spaghetti. And if you put a heavy feed rate on with a decent cut, the chips just fly all around the room. There's no continuity between this material and getting a decent chip. So that's why I do it upside down and run the lathe in reverse. Okay, we'll see if our drive dog will fit. Okay, so we'll just run a drive dog because there will be a bit of turning on this in between centres, we think. So we'll continue our roughing. Okay, roughing out this end of the shaft, we're going to rough down to 7/8 diameter, then we step up to 1 inch diameter for about 2 inches where our thread will be. So we'll rough the first lot down 120 long, we'll just go shy of 120 mil, sort of 4 3/4 inches vicinity, and so we'll take that down to our first size, which will be will go just over 1 inch. So I'll put a mark in. And now I can hack away at that till we're down to just above 1 inch. Just reverse our feed direction. Okay, we'll get a size, see how we're going. So we've got 217 thou to go. So roughing away we go. Just reduce the in-feed from 40 thou cut down to 30. It just makes the chips a bit more manageable. Okay, so we've roughed out our section of the shaft for our pilot section, and roughed out our section for the thread. So our 875 pilot diameter, we're 10 thou up on size, and our threaded section, well, 11.5 thou up on size. So what we'll do next, we will rough out the taper. So we'll just keep the same setup, and we'll just take the lion's share of the material off this end of the taper. So we'll just be doing that in parallel steps before we offset the tailstock. Once we've done that, we'll go back to these two journals. We'll take one more cut to where a couple of probably 2 to 3 thou up on size, and then we'll finish these two with a shear tool. That's the only way you're going to get any sort of reasonable finish on this material. So you see the surface finish where we were roughing is not too bad. It's still quite average, but it's not too bad for a bit of old crummy old black bar. But here where we came down with small cuts to get just above our finish size, the surface finish drops off a fair bit. So that's why we will finish this with a shear tool. Okay, well, we'll move on and start roughing the lion's share of the material off here. Okay, that's our taper roughed out. So we'll go back, finish these two diameters, cut the thread on there, then we'll offset the tailstock and finish cut our taper.